Can they get one last chance? No, they can't. Enzo Maresca celebrates like his team just won the title. I'll tell you what, they might just be in the title race. That's a massive win for Enzo Maresca and Chelsea. Loud ass boos is what my chat is telling me, ringing around Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And look, they say with management, right? The match-going fans can typically decide a manager's fate. That's why I was so curious to see what the reception would be at full time. That reaction right there does not bode well for Ange Postecoglou. Because once you lose the match-going fans, it's very, very difficult to get them back. But we'll talk about Ange. We'll talk about Spurs. Right now, it's time to talk about Chelsea. Everybody in my YouTube comments, without fail, every single week. Yes, when are you talking about Chelsea? Yes, why aren't you talking about Chelsea? Yo, talk about Chelsea, bro. What do you think of the Chelsea game today? And I always tell them, like, look, I only talk about games I watch. And Chelsea, the last few weeks, have been playing at the same time as other games I've been watching. Today, you set aside time to watch a big game like today. See what Chelsea are really made of. That's a big performance. That's a big comeback. It's a big reaction. And it's a big statement for the rest of the league. Enzo Maresca has Chelsea cooking right now. This game didn't start that great for them, right? 2 errors from Cucurella, 2 slips. Spurs capitalized on both of them. I think the first one, it's a brilliant run from and finish from Solanke getting there before Colwill. But Sanchez, let's be real, it wasn't convincing from him there. And then the second one as well too. Kulusevski kind of picks it up. In. Sanchez again, it wasn't the most difficult shot, but you know what, fair enough, the placement. But at 2-0, I was saying about Spurs, this Spurs team are kamikaze. They're Jekyll and Hyde. They're bipolar. The next goal decides the game. My chat can vouch for me here. I said at 2-0, the next goal decides the game. This Spurs team, if they concede 1, are losing this game. If they concede the next goal, they're losing this game. If they score the third, oh, they could go rampant. It was so vital for them that the next goal went their way. And unfortunately, it didn't. It went Sancho's way. And a whole lot went in Sancho's way today. This is one of the best performances Jadon Sancho has put together since he came to England. This is arguably the best performance by Jadon Sancho since he's been playing in the Premier League. Brilliant. Took on his fullback every single time. Looked to play with intent. And the best attribute of Jadon Sancho, of his skill set, is his footballing IQ and his unselfishness. This guy plays his best football when he's passing and moving. Passing and moving. The game, even at the highest level, guys, it's a very simple game. It's all about triangles. It's all about combinations. It's all about give and go, give and go. And Sancho, when he's playing at his best, understands that notion better than almost anybody. He's very good at reading space, at combining with his teammates, at picking apart passes. Today, Sancho, for me, played an excellent game. He took his first goal exceptionally well, and just in general, was consistently an outlet for his team. Not even just in behind as an outlet, but every time Chelsea needed to just retain possession, Sancho was there to just slow the game down for them. Take care of the ball, pass appreciation. I was really, really impressed by Jadon Sancho today. At 2-1, for me, I felt the second was coming. And in the second half, guys, Spurs didn't have anything for them. Spurs started the game very, very well. The way they were pressing from the front. Yeah, Cucurella slips twice, but you have to give credit to Spurs there in terms of how they were initiating that press. But in the second half, I'm very curious for somebody to break down what Maresca changed, because I'm gonna be very honest here. I didn't really catch any massive tactical tweak, but the second half was night and day. Chelsea did not let Spurs breathe today. Chelsea were all over Spurs in that second half. Spurs couldn't get out of their own half at times, guys. And one thing I want to talk about today is Cole Palmer, right? Cole Palmer leaves the game today with 2 goals. And if you want to, I'm not going to call it an assist. Enzo's goal is not his assist. But there's been a lot of discourse around Cole Palmer this season about his performances in big games. Me personally, I think it's all nonsense. I find it hilarious how this season we can consider Cole Palmer versus Man United a big game he didn't show up in. But last year when he scored a hat-trick against United, that's not a big game because United were bad. That doesn't make sense to me. Cole Palmer's big game reputation for me is secure enough for me to be able to turn a blind eye to the odd bad performance here and there. But I don't even think he's been bad against the big teams. I think at times he's been a little anonymous. And I think today would have been one of those games that people say Cole Palmer looks anonymous today. But Cole Palmer, for Enzo's goal, that all comes from him. And I said around halftime in the game, for me, I want to see Cole Palmer pick up the ball in different areas than just that number 10 role. Because I think in games like Spurs, Liverpool, Arsenal, United, where the game is a lot more compact and a lot more tight-knit in the middle of the park, I sometimes feel like Cole Palmer in those tight areas in and behind the striker, those number 10 areas that he likes to occupy, can sometimes kind of like get sandwiched. He sometimes, like, I don't want to say gets overwhelmed, but I don't think he has the most impact on the game in those areas sometimes during games. It depends on the game state. But against the big teams, against very physical midfields, I do sometimes think it's a bit too much for him. For example, today, Sarr and Bissouma, when it's really tight-knit in the center of the park, against Liverpool, against Gravenberch. But I really like Cole Palmer when he's able to drop deep, pick up his head, and play those balls in behind to Neto on one side, Sancho on the other side, Jackson in behind, Nkunku in the hole, Madueke. I really find that Cole Palmer is very effective in those areas. And then also when he starts drifting more out wide. In games like today, this is where the best players are the best players because they find a way to impact the game even if it's not ideal for their situation. Like I said, Cole Palmer today was up against a very, very physical midfield. It's very difficult for him to pick up the ball in that zone, turn on it, try and play his game. They made it very difficult for him. They know Cole Palmer. You stop Cole Palmer, there's a big chance you can stop Chelsea. But the best players find solutions no matter what. And I think Cole Palmer today, look, it's not a vintage game from him, even though I think it's going to be a very slept-on game. People are going to say, oh, he didn't score any non-penalty goals. He didn't play that great. But I thought he played well today. Honestly, picked up the ball in dangerous positions, tried impacting the game in different ways, and that goal that Enzo scores, it's a terrific finish. It's a terrific finish. Cole Palmer doesn't get a goal, and I damn sure hope he doesn't get an assist for that, right? Even these assist gurus, they won't claim that as a Cole Palmer assist, but yet he creates that goal. His fingerprints are all over that goal. On a stat sheet, you'll never know it. If you go back and see the score of this game 10 years from now, you'll have no idea Cole Palmer basically created the Enzo goal. But the way he picks up the ball on the right-hand side, twists and turns, cuts inside, cuts back out, finds himself a yard of space into the box, gets the shot deflected, which lands to Enzo's feet. And Enzo has to finish it. It's a great finish. But that goal doesn't happen if Cole Palmer isn't the one carrying Chelsea into the box on his own. Players that are able to kind of eat up space and weave past players and create a yard, create an opportunity out of nothing. Those players are a dime a dozen, man. They're a gem. And Cole Palmer is exactly that, man. I'm a big fan of his performance today. Jackson probably had his weakest game today. I thought he was very frustrating today. And I think he was very frustrated with his own performance. But it happens, man. The thing with Jackson is even in his bad performances, he's very lively. He's very active. And today was no different. But I have to give a big shout out. And I think people are waiting for this to Moises Caicedo. Moises Caicedo, today, this season, the last 12 months, has been damn near untouchable. He started out at right back today, inverting into midfield as he does, like he's been doing the last few games. And you know what? I'm saying, what was the tweak that Maresca did at halftime? I know what it is now. I remember it. I completely forgot. He took off Lavia. He brought on Malo Gusto, who I thought had a good impact, and put Moises Caicedo in the center of the park to help combat Spurs' physicality, to help win the midfield battle. That's exactly what he did. I completely forgot about it. Caicedo today, man, not only is he an incredible gifted footballer, and not only have his performance levels only gone up and up and up as the months have gone by. The thing I really like about Caicedo, for lack of a better word, he's a bastard. I'm not trying to say it like an insult. He's a bit of a bastard. He probably shouldn't... Look, that foul in the first half, I can't lie. Me personally, I think he got a little lucky there. Red card may have been a little harsh, some could argue, but look, he goes in with force. He makes no contact with the ball. It was high. He's a bastard in terms of, bro, he's not afraid to play dirty. He puts his foot in there. He clatters into guys. There's one on Son today where he's putting his full force behind that, bro, and he wins the ball. You need guys like that. Who was it the other day I was talking about? I was saying I have a lot of admiration for that. It was Liam Delap. Liam Delap kind of like, he barged into that one guy's shoulder, into Martinez's shoulder, and United fans are saying, oh, this guy's such a prick, man. I don't want him at United. I'm like, why, bro? Why? You need players like that, man. You need guys who aren't afraid to get stuck in, who aren't afraid to put their weight around, who aren't afraid to let guys know they're there. Caicedo, to me, the way I can describe his performance today, enforcer. Caicedo is an enforcer, as well as actually being able to kick ball. It's been incredible. And I know Chelsea fans have been on to me, because a year ago, about this time last year, I was on to Caicedo saying, for me, the performances don't really match the value. And I'm going to stay consistent here. I wouldn't have paid that much money for Moises Caicedo. I have an opinion when it comes to players like that in general. Midfielders, defenders. I think there's a limit you should be spending on those kinds of players. I believe, personally, it's my own opinion, that £100 million signings should be designated to the likes of the Cole Palmers, the likes of the Sakas, the likes of the Viniciuses, like match winners in an attacking sense. That's just my opinion. And I'm not really going to stray from that. I maintain that opinion. But Caicedo's not in charge of his price tag. That is one thing that has always remained the case. And his performances, for me, since the turn of the year, the second half of last season and the first half of this, he has been one of, if not the best midfielders in the entire Premier League. You can think it's shallow. That's my opinion. I'm consistent with that. And it's not something I just created out of thin air for Caicedo. For me, those kinds of signings should be for the top game changers. That's just my opinion. I'm entitled to it. You're entitled to disagree. That's the way I view the game. But today, Caicedo, incredible. Enzo next to him. Enzo, the last few weeks, huh? Has there been like a change in Enzo's like personal life that has caused this turn in form? Did something happen to Enzo? Maybe in the household, maybe close to his heart. Enzo seems more focused on the... No, All jokes aside, Enzo, the last few games has again, another one who's showing his worth finally. Terrific performance again today. Took his goal extremely well. So Chelsea, here's the question before we turn over to Spurs. Chelsea. What's the ceiling to this? Because right now, if I pull up the league table, 1 second, chat. So Chelsea currently sit outright second after Arsenal's draw today. 4 points behind Liverpool, of course, with a game in hand. And at the moment, they're the form team in the Premier League. The top scorers in the Premier League. Defensively, they look strong. Only 2 losses on the season. One of them came after the first game of the campaign. Maresca has absolutely changed this team in such a short amount of time. Now, me personally, last year, I was never a fan of Pochettino. All the receipts are out there. As critical as I've been of Chelsea, Pochettino was never someone I ran revisionism for. I was someone who truly believed he was holding back this Chelsea team. But I never, in my wildest expectations, believed that Maresca would be able to transform Chelsea to within a title in his first few months. 4 points behind first. That's absolutely ridiculous. Sorry, Chelsea defensively strong. That's maybe a stretch, but they're not bad defensively per se. I think they have holes in their back five, if you want to call it that. I think Robert Sanchez, Carragher today touches upon it in terms of, can you win the Premier League with an average goalkeeper? I haven't seen it yet. And you could say Schmeichel, but Kasper Schmeichel, that is. Kasper Schmeichel played out of his skin that season. I would agree with that. You need a top goalkeeper to win a Premier League. And Robert Sanchez, I do see that as a massive, massive weak point in the side. But could they do it this year? See, for me personally, I think it's a year too early. Off the basis of everything I know about how Premier League titles are won. It's very rare that a team comes out of nowhere like this and are immediately ready to win the league. It very rarely happens. Experience usually tells in these situations. However, I do feel like this is a very different Premier League title race to most other seasons. Largely because Manchester City are, for me, largely out of it. I know they're 4 points behind Chelsea, but you look at the trajectory of both those teams. People are saying Conte. Conte's Chelsea was a different situation. That team had been champions 2 years before. They were a team of winners. And Conte is a winner as well too. This Chelsea team is young. They don't really have any bona fide winners in this team. Maresca is a relatively unproven manager at the top level. So it's a different situation to Chelsea's Conte. That team, they were poised. I mean, I never predicted it, but they were poised to come on. They had players that were able to do it. This Chelsea team have kind of come out of nowhere. I don't think they're going to win the league this season. Me personally, I think Liverpool this year have too much for everybody. I think it will take a massive collapse from Liverpool for Chelsea to be there. But could they make a run of it? Could Chelsea make a run of it? I think I'd be foolish to count them out. I think they can last. How long can they last? That remains to be seen. But on current basis, they are a top 3 team in this league. People are telling me, look at Chelsea's next 3 games. Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves. Then they got a tough run. City, Brighton, Villa. But the next few games, Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves. Hey, I'd be foolish to count them out. I think they can make a run at this. Do I think they're going to last the whole season? Not for me. But wow, to even be in the situation that they're in. Maresca deserves massive credit. Chelsea deserves massive credit. It's crazy. I never expected Chelsea to be here this early. So I think a lot of people have to eat a lot of humble pie, myself being one of them. But wow, let's see how far they can go. Now let's talk about Spurs a little. Ange Postecoglou. I haven't said this in a long time, but I'm afraid I might have to say it now. And I like Ange, so this brings me no pleasure to say. I can't believe I'm going to say these words. It actually hurts that I'm going to say these words because I really like Ange, but I gotta say it. Ange Postecoglou, welcome to Good Dude University. Welcome to Good Dude University. A new spot has opened. A new seat in the lecture hall has opened. I think you are our newest admission. It pains me to say that because I really like Ange Postecoglou. And personally, I don't think he should be fired. Look, it hasn't been ideal. This has been a poor second season from Spurs. And Ange has to take a lot of responsibility there. But I'm looking at Spurs' situation, and there might be some bias here because I like him. I like his personality. I think he's a good tactician. I love the way his teams play, as a neutral that is, but the results are now getting out of hand, and the inconsistency is getting out of hand. But bro, I'm looking at this team, and yeah, the results have to be better. 7 losses in the league isn't good. But also, what are Spurs expecting here? I'm looking at their team. It's not a great side. They haven't invested that much money into this team. Their recruitment hasn't been that great. And yes, he personally can be better. I get that. Defensively, I think he bears a lot of the responsibility here. But this Chelsea team this Spurs team, aren't that great. And maybe I sound a little hypocritical here because I actually thought Spurs would finish above Chelsea before the season started. Because I thought they'd progress from last year, and they haven't. And again, Ange has to bear some of the brunt of the responsibility. But also, I don't think it's wrong for me to say, with hindsight, Spurs' window wasn't as good as I thought it was. It isn't. And, what's his name? Archie Gray, Bergval, Odo Bear, they might end up being very good players. But to improve Spurs from last season, Spurs really haven't moved the needle that much. Solanke is the one big difference to the starting 11. And here's the thing. If Spurs were better and Spurs maybe could identify someone better on the market right now, then I could hear them firing him and bring someone else. But I'm looking at Spurs right now, and I'm looking at who they could possibly recruit and who would do better than Ange right now. I don't know if there's a better manager right now for them. Like, you could bring in Conceição. Fairs, man. Conceição is a good manager. What he achieved in Porto is big. Is Conceição really going to change life at Spurs? I don't know if Conceição is worth firing Ange over. That's just my opinion. Who else is there realistically? Would Thomas Frank leave Brentford right now for Spurs? Potentially. Yeah, he'd have them better defensively for sure. He would definitely improve Spurs defensively. But I don't know if that moves the needle that much for Spurs. I think a few weeks ago, if Amorim was still available, okay, maybe you go for Amorim, but Amorim's still a manager as well too. We're seeing at United. He would need time. He need resources. He needs to rebuild the squad. I think personally, look, Ange has to bear a lot of the responsibility here. But I think Spurs have to decide before they fire Ange, what do Spurs want to be? What's the goal for Spurs? Because they've tried so many different styles of managers, not even different managers, different profiles of managers now. They went with Poch. Poch had them on the brink. They fired him. They should, bro, honestly, with hindsight, firing Poch is where it all started. But they fired him. They wanted trophies badly. So they went and got Jose Mourinho. Short term. They hated the style of play. They weren't winning. Fire him. Go hire a guy who's at a smaller club that's punching above his weight in Nuno. He's not big enough for Spurs. They fired him. They went for Conte. Again, short-term results, trophies. Didn't like the style of play, didn't win. So they fired him. And now they've gone for Ange in an attempt to go back to the project manager. But if you fire Ange, what's the approach then? Who are you hiring? Forget about who. What kind of manager is coming in to replace Ange? What is Spurs' vision? What is their project? Do they want to be a long-term club? Do they want to play good attacking football? Do they want to be ruthless and just focus on the cups? What do they want? So I think personally, and again, like I said, I like Ange. So granted, I'm a little biased here. But even if I'm looking at it completely objectively, I don't think right now is the right time to fire Ange. The results have to improve. But I don't think firing Ange Postecoglou fixes Spurs. I personally don't think so. If we look at the game today, some of the decisions today by Spurs players are absolutely boneheaded. And I'm looking at Bissouma and Sarr in particular. Oh my God. Both penalties that Spurs conceded to Chelsea are horrible individual mistakes. One from Bissouma and the other one from Pape Mate Sarr. Oh my God, man. Bissouma comes slide tackling out of nowhere on Kaiso. Like, literally, Kaiso was on the edge of the box for the most part. Like, yeah, he's in the box, but why are you diving in like that? And then the second one, Cole Palmer, guys, is on the ball. He's shifting, he's turning. His body is facing outside of the box. The trajectory of the ball is to go outside of the box. He's leaving the penalty area. Allow him. He's not dangerous facing away from goal. Why are you clattering into him from behind? He's leaving the penalty box. These are decisions that just blow my mind when I see professional footballers. And I'm always cautious to say this, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a reason why these guys are pros, and I'm just a dude on YouTube talking about football. But there's some pro footballers whose decision-making and footballing IQ blows my mind. They're all smart players. They had to be to make it to this level. But relative to professional players, they make boneheaded decisions. Both those penalty mistakes today, those fouls, are just unexplainable. They're inexplicable, man. Ange could ask them after the game, what were you thinking? They wouldn't have an answer. I can't believe it. But just in general, right? This team is way too open. And this is where, for me, I look at Ange. Because I think in certain moments, having a better player than Werner can improve the team. In certain moments, having a better player than Forster in goal, it'll improve Spurs. Having better midfielders than Bissouma and Sarr, it would improve Spurs. Having Son, the chance he misses today, that's how you know Son is cooked, by the way. The day Son starts missing those chances more regularly, and it's starting to happen now, that's when you know Son ain't got it no more, man. So in individual moments, Ange needs better players to execute the game plan. But one thing I'm not cutting him slack on is how open this team plays. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and Ange is not willing to change for anybody. And for the longest time, I respected that. I can respect a manager dying on his laurels, dying on his merits, dying on his ideology. Like, we're going to get it right no matter what. That's what I hope Amorim does. But it's getting, like, bro, this is what? 1 win in their last 5. 7 losses on the season. At some point, you got to adapt a little, man. You have to. And I always look at Spurs as players. I just got a TalkSport notification. Do not tell me Ange got fired. Okay, no, he didn't. I look at some of those defensive players, for example. And this is where, for me, when I say Ange needs better players, I don't mean the defense. Because, guys, realistically, right? Dragusin is awful, by the way. Dragusin, that guy is mid. The substitution for Romero went off injured. I think that helped change the game because Dragusin is not it. But I'm looking at those 4 defenders, right? I'm looking at those 4 defenders in Udogie, Porro, Van de Ven, and Romero. Chat, let's be objective here, right? Those are all 4 good defenders. Isolation. Don't look at them as a unit. Don't look at them as a unit as a back 4. Look at them as individuals. All 4 of them are pretty good players. Udogie is a good left back. Porro's a good right back. Van de Ven is a great recovery defender. And Romero is a world champion. He's a good player. None of them are scrubs. But as a unit, they're an absolute calamity. They're a clown show. They consistently make boneheaded mistakes, allowing other teams to go through on goal. I don't see a team in the Prem who concede more big chances than Spurs. Who's that down to? That, my friends, has to go down on Ange. And the frustrating thing for me is this is an issue we all identified within like 10 games last season. We're now 15 games into this season, and it doesn't look like Ange is willing to budge. And therein lies my issue with Ange. I like him. I respect the way he plays football. For me, his team are so entertaining to watch for a neutral. But there's an issue staring you dead in the face right now, and you are refusing to budge on it. And look, I hope Spurs give you time for your own sake. But if you don't get time and you're fired tomorrow, it'll be harsh, but it really won't be the biggest shock, man. It won't be the craziest thing ever if Spurs sack you. I think it would be the wrong decision, but it wouldn't be a decision that sacks me. That shocks me. Spurs the season, man. I don't even know where they go from here, man. But that's the story of the game, guys. Chelsea 2, Spurs 1. Resounding victory for Chelsea. Great comeback. I respect a lot too the maturity and mentality they had at 2-0 down to still say, we're in this game. Let's relax. Let's just play our game. Chances will fall to us. Let's not panic. And as for Spurs, they're the absolute opposite, man. Even at 2-0 up, I don't think anybody felt confident that game was secure. I don't think anybody in that stadium, I don't think anyone in my chat, I don't think even Ange Postecoglou felt secure and confident that his team would last. That's an issue. And today, look, man, if it's the last time we saw you, damn it, I enjoyed you, Ange. But can you be that shocked if you get fired? I'm not sure, man.